A Venus flytrap doesn't use muscles. It has no nerves, no brain, no motor system whatsoever. And yet it slams shut in 100 milliseconds, faster than a human blink, which takes between 150 and 400 milliseconds. Something with no moving biological machinery is outrunning your nervous system. That should stop you cold. Here's what makes this genuinely unsettling. The trap doesn't just close quickly. It closes by storing and then catastrophically releasing mechanical energy through a process your body could never replicate at that speed. The plant is essentially a biological trebuchet. And the forces involved, scaled up to human size, would not just hurt you. They would end you. Let's slow this down to understand what's actually happening. A Venus flytrap leaf has two lobes. Each lobe is slightly curved outward, convex, like the outside of a bowl. When a trigger hair inside the trap is touched twice within about 20 seconds, something extraordinary begins. The plant starts pumping water out of the outer cells of each lobe. As those outer cells lose pressure, the lobe geometry becomes unstable. It's like squeezing a contact lens. The curvature wants to flip. And then it does. Violently. The lobes snap from convex to concave in a geometric inversion that takes about 100 milliseconds. That's snap through buckling. Engineers use the same principle to design faster mechanical switches. Think about a click beetle. It arches its body, stores elastic energy in a hinge between its thorax and abdomen, and then releases it all at once to fling itself into the air. The Venus flytrap is doing something nearly identical, but instead of one hinge, it's doing it across an entire curved surface simultaneously. The whole leaf is the spring. Now let's talk about the forces. The trap generates a closing force of roughly 0.1 newtons across an area of about 1 square centimeter. That doesn't sound like much. But the speed of closure means the acceleration of the lobe tips reaches over 100 meters per second squared. That's more than 10 times the acceleration of gravity. The pressure at the moment of contact is enough to seal soft insect bodies. And the geometry means the force concentrates at the rim, like the edge of a closing book, not a flat press. Here's the scaling thought experiment that should break your brain. If you build a Venus flytrap at human scale, say, 2 meters across instead of 2 centimeters, and maintained the same material properties and snap through timing, the edge velocity of the closing lobes would exceed 60 meters per second. That's 216 kilometers per hour. The contact force at that edge would be in the range of tens of thousands of newtons. For reference, a guillotine blade generates roughly 500 newtons of cutting force. Our scaled-up flytrap would deliver roughly 100 times that. The word snap stops being metaphorical. If this just rewired how you think about plants, subscribe. We cover science that textbooks bury in footnotes, and we make sure you feel every implication. Now here's the second layer. The snap-through mechanism isn't just fast. It's a bistable system. The trap has two stable states, open and closed. It can sit in either state without using any energy. This is crucial. It means the plant isn't burning calories to stay open or to stay closed. It only spends energy on the transition. That's an engineering principle called bistability, and it's the same reason your laptop lid stays open without you holding it. Biology figured this out hundreds of millions of years before human engineers did. But there's a catch. The Venus flytrap can only snap shut a handful of times before the leaf dies. Somewhere between 3 and 5 full closures and the trap is spent. Why? Because the snap-through process involves large, rapid deformations of living cell walls. Each snap causes microscopic damage, fatigue at the cellular level. The plant is literally tearing itself apart a little each time it feeds. It's paying for speed with lifespan. That's not a design flaw. That's a calculated trade-off. Each closure has to be worth it, which is why the plant requires 2 separate trigger hair touches before it fires. One touch might be a raindrop. 2 touches means something is moving, something alive, something worth dying a little for. This is where it connects to something much bigger. The snap-through mechanism in the Venus flytrap is now being actively studied by engineers building soft robotics and deployable aerospace structures. Satellites have panels that need to unfurl rapidly and lock into position in the vacuum of space. Surgical tools need to snap into configurations inside a human body without motors. The flytrap's bistable geometry is informing all of it. A carnivorous plant from the swamps of North and South Carolina is quietly shaping next-generation space hardware. And here's the implication that will stay with you. We tend to think of plants as passive, slow, patient things. But the Venus Flytrap is running a hydraulic computation in real time. It processes sensory input, the trigger hair touches, and it applies a timer. 2 touches, 20-second window, fire. No brain required. It's a physical logic gate made of cells and water pressure. The question isn't why a plant can do this. The question is whether the distinction between computing and responding to physics is as clear as we assumed. Because if a plant can implement a timed conditional response using nothing but water pressure and elastic geometry, what exactly do we mean when we say something is just a plant? The universe keeps building minds out of materials we didn't expect. First neurons, then silicon, now cellulose and sap. The Flytrap isn't the outlier. It's the warning. Reality has been quietly more intelligent than our categories for it this whole time. If you want more science that dismantles what you thought you knew, subscribe right now. Every video we make starts with a fact that sounds impossible. Because the best ones always are.